Hello and welcome to Barbara's podcast. This is the show for women, all about health, nutrition, and wellness. It's the show that will empower you and inspire you to create a healthier lifestyle.
Hello and welcome. I'm Barbara Carafocus and I'm excited to introduce Vanessa Elston, who is a transformative quantum healer. She helps professionals stuck in anxiety and depression with her fast-acting, long-lasting healing method. Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you very much, Barbara, and it's such a pleasure to be here and, an honour to have access to your listeners. So thanks so much for inviting me on.
Well, I'm very excited and would love to hear what you have to say. Can you share more about your personal journey from ignoring your gift to becoming a quantum healer? What was the turning point that made you embrace your healing abilities?
Well, I was a really successful entrepreneur, award-winning, had all the trappings, of that sort of life. And then after my divorce, one day I just woke up and I couldn't move. I couldn't move anything. Couldn't move my neck, couldn't get out of bed. It was terrifying. And after lots of trips to the hospital and seeing specialists, nobody really knew what was wrong with me. They said, well, we think you've got viral arthritis, but we're going to put you on some chemo drugs, and then we're going to give you 5 other drugs to counterbalance all the terrible effects that they're going to have. And I was like, no, you're not. I haven't got cancer. Yeah, I haven't got cancer. And, I take this drug and then I need one to stop being sick, and I need one to sleep, and I need one to make sure my blood doesn't thin, and I need another one because my bones are going to get brittle. Are you kidding me? So I went home in a sort of state of despair, and through a very good friend of mine who's met Sophia Noel, who's an amazing healer based in Beirut, I was introduced to her, and she said, you'll never get an appointment. She's booked up like 8 weeks in advance. And I sort of burst into tears. I was in so much pain. And she said, well, let's just message her. And I messaged her and she came back straight away and said, I've just had a cancellation. Get on Zoom now. And what was really interesting was everything that was related to my illness, and this is what the medical profession never asks you, was emotional. It was linked to trauma and things that I'd never actually dealt with. And, that's what I'm really interested in now, is that negative thoughts produce negative emotions. Negative emotions create your environment and affect your physicality. So anyway, to cut a long story short, by the time she got me better, which only took weeks, 5 sessions, 2 weeks in between, and I could finally dance around my kitchen again while I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, which is how I like to start the day before I have my coffee. Yeah. She's saying, right, well, you're better now, but the reason you've been stopped in your tracks is because you're a really gifted healer. And you've been a healer in all your other lives, and you've been told that you're a healer before, and you've just ignored it, haven't you? And I said, well, are you sure you've got this right? I'm a businesswoman, darling. I'm not a healer. It all sounds a bit woo-woo to me. And she said, look, let me spell it out, girlfriend. She's from New York and quite to the point. And then she lives in Great. And she said, if you don't embrace this, you'll be stopped in your tracks next time. And there won't be any getting up at all. And I thought, well, I don't really need much more dancing, really. Didn't like this not being able to move. So, okay, let's learn it. It was, I don't know, just the easiest thing I'd ever done, and because I've been anxious and depressed, and, been one of those people that I'm fine, the I'm fine brigade, I'm really good at my job, because when people say, I'm ashamed to tell you that I'm under the duvet, depressed, I haven't got out of bed for a week, and the only I do get out of bed for is a bottle of vodka. I'm not shocked by that. That's just the way it is. But it's not anxiety and depression, overwhelm and burnout are transient. Once you get that into your mindset, this is where you are right now. And we just need to find out what it is that's keeping you stuck there. You know, what you haven't dealt with in the past, that's creating negative energy that's holding you down. Because people, you know, we have exposed for it, don't we? He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, or she has the weight of the world on her shoulders. That's heavy energy weighing you down. So very often, people come to me that hideous childhoods, and it's what's driven them to be incredibly successful, because they it as the success, the money, as a safety mechanism, as a form of protection, and then they become really successful, but that childhood is still haunting them. And all I do is I make it not matter. I make it not define them anymore, and I make it so that they can look at it and it doesn't affect them, it doesn't trigger them. They can just say, well, that was my life in the past. And it's the quantum bit, really. Quantum is about moving forward. So, you know, in the quantum world, 1 and 1 isn't 2, it's 3. It's working in well and it's moving forward. So once we've cleared this energy and we've created new positive, well, the space for vital force energy to come in, it makes people feel optimistic, lighter, happier. You know, they're smiling and they wake up smiling. And when what has haunted them doesn't haunt them anymore, as I said before, it just becomes part of their backstory that doesn't need to be revisited because it's not relevant to where they are now. And they're optimistically forward and moving forward.
Do they have to do any of the work, or do you take it upon yourself when
No,
you do the healing? No,
yeah, I do. Sorry, crossed over there. I apologise. No, but this is why people like it. You know, if you've got something like this in your background, you don't want to talk about it. And a lot of people come to me and they say, I've seen a therapist for 20 years, 10 years, and it hasn't worked. And often, you know, I'm not maligning therapists at all. They do amazing work. But I think one of the issues when you have to deal with something that's as violent as that is that you can bring something out to talk about it, but you've only got an hour, and then that was over and the session is finished, but that person is left in the past. So what I do is just work through a set of apps to find the emotional statement. When did this happen? What's the emotional statement? And all you have to say is, does that make sense? And all they need to say is yes. Now you can tell me about it if you want to. I'm not, you know, if you want to talk about it, that's great. But particularly with men and very successful people, actually, they tend to be very private about this thing. So they know that I know what it is, and I can see it. It's like a sort of video clip, and I'll just say that makes sense, and yes, it does. And it's like, great, okay, we're just going to clear that energy. And I use the pendulum, and pull the energy out of them into me, and I yawn it out. So that's the thing I have to warn my client about. I'm afraid you're going to see me yawning a great deal. You're going to see me looking very unattractive with the mouth open quite a lot. But, you know, that's how I do the healing. And what has to happen is people are exhausted afterwards because we've literally gone in and pulled out something that's been weighing down. You generally have to have a sleep afterwards for an hour or two. And after 3 days,
say that that's quite an important part of the healing, because a lot of people may go to a therapist and they'll talk about it, but I think the part that's quite difficult is the part of letting go, the release. And I think you play an important role in that, because it's where people struggle. So it's one thing talking about it, and then it's another thing letting it go, the release.
Yeah, I think, you know, you can try all the you can read all the books, but sometimes the trauma of some just keeps you stuck. You need help, and that's it. And it is a release. I'm getting it out, and we're sending it to source, God, the prophet, the Almighty, the divine, the universe, whatever you call it, to be clean. Because all energy is divinely powerful and clean originally. It gets messed about, becomes polluted, if you like. So I always think of it as sending it up to be reignited, invigorated, and to be made again before the energy comes back down. And then what happens with my clients, this bit I really love my job, is on day 3, they'll message me and they'll say, I don't know what it is, but I feel lighter today. I wake up smiling today. That's the beginning of the energy unwinding. That's all the bad stuff has gone, and it's vital energy coming in, the really good stuff. And vital energies like the stuff that makes you like a rock star. I'm 59, but sometimes I'm walking down the street and I'm so full of vital force. I feel like I'm about 18 again. I feel light, bouncy, just full of the joy of life. And that's where I want to get everybody to, because when we feel like that, life's good. Life's really good. But more importantly than that, we're putting out the right vibrational frequency. And guess what happens? Instead of more bad stuff coming into our life, serendipity is knocking on our door all the time. People, opportunities, situations that you never thought would happen to you just start landing at your door because you're vibrating on the right frequency and you're not operating from a base of fear, obligation, resentment, guilt, all those bad, all those words that immediately make you feel heavy.
Well, you mentioned that laughter is an important aspect of your work, and making your clients laugh indicates progress. So can you explain a little bit the connection between humor and healing?
Well, humor's light, and it's sort of bubbles up like fizz. I always think, I always think the wonder of discovering lemonade when you're a child and you watch the bubbles come to the top of the glass. You think, wow, this is really amazing. Laughter's like that. It lifts our soul. It lifts our spirit. And I laugh a lot with my clients. They might say, you probably think I'm blah, 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 blah. And I just quite like saying, yeah, I do actually. And then we just crack up laughing. I'll start laughing before them, and it just helps them release. It's the start of releasing. And if you can just not take yourself seriously and find things to laugh about every day, and smile about, you're lifting your vibrational frequency and you're starting to operate, from a point of joy with an open heart. And guess what? That's how we enjoy life. That's how we enrich other people's lives. We all know miserable, moaning Maureen, don't we? We're all having a great time, and in she comes, and it's like, oh, moan, drama, 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 and she brings the whole vibe down. But we also know, like, fabulous, Frida, who bounces in and goes, hey, how you doing, girls? Like, you go, how are you? I'm great, fantastic. Guess what happened to me? Something amazing. Lifts your spirit up straight away. So, I try and surround myself with people that are bright lights, really, and can bring that value into my world, and then I can give back to them as well.
It does. What goes around comes around, like they say, What we
Well, I
give.
think it's more than that, actually. I like to say it's the tenfold rule. If I put out good, I'm going to get good back tenfold. If I'm being bitchy or moaning or judgmental about somebody or speaking ill of them, words have immense power. That's going to come back tenfold to you. And karma knows where you live. There's no escape from her. So, you need to be very careful about how you go through life, because a lot of things now, social media, are very critical of the way people look. It's very judgmental. There's a lot of comparison going on. And that's all really negative stuff. But if you surround yourself with people that just love you for who you are, people that value the simple things in life, and people that realize that love, joy, laughter, happiness, optimism are the keys to having a good life, then your life will be full and vibrant. And as I said before, serendipity will knock on your door. I never worry about money. I spent my life worrying about money when I was successful. How are we going to pay the mortgage? How are we going to pay all our staff? Oh my God, I've got to get another £3 million worth of business in to, get into profit. Now I don't worry. I'm here to serve. And when you have that attitude, money just pops in. It's really weird. It just shows up and pops in. And I never worry about getting clients either. They just come, mainly through recommendation, occasionally through LinkedIn or, Instagram or something like that. But they just always come. And I think that's the lovely thing about operating in this way, is that it takes worry out of your life.
There's an author, Michael A. Singer. Have you heard of him? Yeah. He's written The Surrender Experiment. And every now and I think every summer I might read the book again as a little reminder as to, operating in that way. Having a lot of faith. He just meditated, and then the next thing came, he accepted it, and on it went,
Well, I think, we're taught to be fearful, aren't we? And also, we're very good at going into victim mode. When something goes wrong, it's all about, poor me, my life's so terrible. Why does everything have to be so hard? Moan, moan, moan. Actually, why don't you look at it differently? That didn't work out because it wasn't aligned with you, that person, that situation, that job, whatever it is. And faith is about knowing that person, that situation is going to move out the way so that something better can come in. Maybe that person was just there to heighten your senses or to make you focus in a particular area. But they're not the right person. They're not the right energy for you. They don't match you. So having is just saying, okay, great. Well, thank you, and let you move out the way. And I know that the right person will come in.
Absolutely. That's happened so many times in my life where I close one door and another bigger, better door opens. And it's like a progression where you evolve and you grow and you go on to another level. And then,
And I think the other thing is, we're talking about this and people are going, yeah, keep the faith, and it will happen. You have to trust it. You can't just do it on a Sunday. You can't just say, I'm going to have faith on a Sunday when I go to church, or I'm going to have the faith on Tuesday, but by Wednesday I've taken a few knocks and now I don't believe in it. You've got to hold that faith all the time, constantly, even when the world is crashing around you. I mean, think about my illness. Had I not had that, I wouldn't be a healer. I wouldn't be talking to you now, How amazing is that? So I'm really grateful for being stopped in my tracks. I'm really grateful for being ill, because look at the doors that it's opened. It's given me a whole new life and a whole new world. But you have to be brave. You have to be fearless. And it's quite tricky. It takes practice and it takes work, but we can all get there. And here's the thing. Women have bigger pituitary glands than men. We have greater intuition. We all, all the women listening will say, and this will have happened to all of you, I was just about to call my friend and she called me. I was just about to, I had a terrible premonition that something terrible was going to happen to my mother. I popped round and she'd collapsed on the floor. Thank God I was able to get her to hospital in time. We have that. So why don't we apply it to our life a bit more? Why are we so fearful of trusting ourselves? Ladies, I know your audience is primarily women, trust that intuition, trust that innate ability that you have, and just use faith to guide you. And you using that intuition and faith, you will start living a really full and vibrant life.
That's lovely. I think it's a message that every woman needs to hear. So I've got another question. You've recently created meditations for stress and worry. Could you tell us more about these meditations and how they can help individuals dealing with panic attacks, sleep issues, and perhaps starting their day on a positive note?
Yeah, well, what happened was we had a couple of suicides in our extended friendship circle. And I started to do some research into what the suicide rates were. And I was really, really shocked. And I thought, what can I do? You know, what can I do? I can only see one person at a time. So I like everything to be quick. Nobody's got time to spend an hour meditating, you know, with the legs crossed. Nobody's got time to do that. And as women, we're spinning so many plates, aren't we? Kids, jobs, you know, and running kids around to all the extra stuff they do. And, you know, it's very difficult to fit time in. So I like everything in sort of 5 or 10 minute bursts, and I expect everything to work quickly. And that's what quantum does, really. It's a speedy solution. So I thought, right, I'm going to create some meditations, and I'm going to work with a music producer and composer, because most meditations get on my nerves. You know, I'm just chilling out, I'm just getting there, and birds start tweeting, or waves start crashing, or oh, I don't know, whatever. And it's just like, oh, great, you've just ruined it for me now. I was almost there and now you've ruined it. So the people I work with, I said, I want a piano backtrack that's gentle. And I met the guy who did the music for Ordinary People. And I loved his work. And he said, I've had a suicide in my friendship circle. I'd love to work with you on this. So my meditations have just a gentle piano that leads you through. And my voice is what's really important on it. And when we did the recording, you'll hear me lick my lips. And I said, I really want that cut out. And he said, no, we need that. Because when you hear your voice like that, it's like you're speaking to me. It's like you're in the room. If we make it really smooth, it's not going to have the power. And then what we did was we looked at frequencies that we could mix in as well, Hertz frequencies. So the Hertz frequency for joy, the Hertz frequency for love, you know, for calm, all those sorts of things. And the meditations are literally, you know, start your day on the good foot. When you're anxious and depressed, you wake up and you just think, oh God, I just don't want to start my day at all. If you can plug in for 5 minutes and it changes your mood, how good would that be? You know, if you're having a panic attack and your hands are sweaty and you think your legs are going to give way and whatever it is that's triggered you can't breathe, you can just plug in and in 5 minutes will calm you down. And if you can't sleep, and again, I've had anxiety and depression.
That's me. Sleepless nights.
Yeah, because your head's too busy. It's like, you know, all the stuff's running around it and it's feeding you with negativity. Well, sleep's really important. Sleep's what restores us. So, you know, this is just a way to empty your mind and float off and be able to have a really good regenerative sleep. Because if you have got anxiety and depression, all these stresses will affect your physicality. And what I've tried to do is just re-enrich you in a very short period of time so that you can just crack on with your day feeling better, really. So there's nothing complicated about them. I think the longest one's 7.5 minutes, and I think we can all fit that into our day. And it's just my gift to, I mean, I think they cost $5 each or £5 each, and you buy the whole set for 15. It's not huge money. I didn't do it for the money. I did it literally to give everybody a gift. And, you know, if I can save one life, then my work's done. you know, it was worth the time, it was worth, you know, the investment, and it was certainly worth working. It was a wonderful experience to work with the people that I did, and that enriched my soul. But if I can just save one life or change someone's thinking from suicide to, you know, being able to move forward, then that's my reward.
You do must be makes you feel fulfilled compared to what you were doing in the past as an entrepreneur with the stress. I'm sure that, you know, the reward wasn't as great as what you're doing now.
Well, it's all about money, isn't it? Business, really. So it's very transactional. I'll do this for you, you'll give me this. And where's the love in that? Where's the joy? You know, apart from, oh, great, I've made loads of money, I'll buy a new Mercedes, or, you know, I'll live in a bigger house. And I moved out of my house about a year ago now. I put it up for rent and I gave away all my possessions apart from a suitcase full of clothes, and I went to live in Tenerife for 3 months. And it was the most freeing thing I've ever done. And because life's not about the material things, they don't make you feel better. You know, yeah, it's really exciting buying a new car. Once you've got it, the joy's gone, hasn't it? It doesn't leave you, you know, it's like, yeah, I've got a new car. Yeah, I've got a new Armani suit. Yeah, I've got a new, you know, really expensive Chanel lipstick. It doesn't enrich your life, it's just more stuff. So what I do, you know, when I hear, and most of my clients end up being friends, actually. We you know, we'll be friends for years, or we'll stay in touch for years and years, and they'll just keep me informed about the good things that are going on in their life, you know. And you'll deal with people that have had, you know, horrible divorce, hideous, and they'll get through that, and then, you know, they'll suddenly message me and say, you know, I said I was never going to be interested in men again. I've met this fabulous man and we're really aligned and I'm just having the best time. And it's like, that's what my phone's full of now. It's not full of, you know, we need this to finish on time, or, you know, we've got a problem with, because constructions, you've always got a problem with something not arriving, not being finished on time. And now my phone's full of joyful messages. And, you know, guess which one's better, really?
Well, I was just going to say, in closing, is there anything else you would like to share with our podcast listeners about your work?
I would just say, you know, if you are anxious and depressed, if you're experiencing sort of overwhelm and burnout, Big Pharma isn't the answer. You know, Big Pharma is going to give you a solution, but it's going to make you less worse, not better. And I'm really on a mission to get healing on the map as a credible alternative. I'm very businesslike. I'm not woo-woo. I don't burn sage and I don't float around in cheesecloth, you know, screaming at the moon. I work in a very business-like way, and my aim is to shift people as quickly as possible. I don't want to see you for the next 10 years. I want to see you for like 3 to 8 weeks max, and then I want you shifted and enjoying a joyful life. And I'd just say to anyone that thinks what I do is woo-woo, check out my testimonials. Have a look at the people that come to me on LinkedIn. You know, a lot of people won't put their full names because, you know, people like me are judged. But you can check out some of my clients on LinkedIn, and they're quite serious business people. And if you are, and you're desperate, maybe it's time to try something different. So I'm not promoting myself particularly, but why don't you try something alternative? You know, book a discovery call with me. Let's have a chat. And you might not like me, but I can recommend somebody else that you might like. And there's quite a few of us around. And try something different. You know, try a different approach if you're stuck. Don't be afraid. You know, we don't bite. We're all quite normal. And like I say, I'm just on a mission to get healers taken seriously as an alternative to Big Pharma that will actually get you better instead of getting you less worse.
Well, thank you for that. If our listeners would like to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me at vanessaelston.com. I'm really easy to find. Vanessa Elston on LinkedIn. Just tap Vanessa Elston in, and most, I think all my social media will come up, Instagram. Just message me. I'll come back to you, and let's set up a chat. There's no commitment, there's no charge. And if at the end of the day you don't feel it's for you, what have you lost? 15 minutes of your time.
Well, it was lovely having you. And thank you. Thank you for sharing all that lovely words, those lovely words of wisdom with our listeners. Thank you.
It's my absolute pleasure. And thank you so much for inviting me on.
Thanks for listening to Barbara's podcast. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter or e-courses. Celebrate life, and see you at the next episode.